Hello everyone, and it's time to do a SWTOR video, just discussing the upcoming expansion pack, which is not titled Mysteries of the Sith. I don't remember what it's titled actually. I'm gonna go with Mysteries of the Sith. Screw it. Legacy of the Sith. That's it. There you go. There you go. Lots, not mots. There you go. That's the way I'm gonna think about it. I'm still calling it Mysteries of the Sith, which of course was the Jedi Knight 2 Dark Forces expansion. There you go. I remember. Long day at work, really. So these are some of the changes that have been announced. They were announced on the forums. Like, why don't they announce these in better ways? Like, surely, put something out on social media or something like that. But I always find that they just announce things on the forums, which you're kind of going to a small captive audience, and maybe that's what the game is now, a small captive audience that they've got now. That's all that's left in the game, I guess. I haven't played the game for a while, to be honest. We'll probably play the game to get footage. Record first, footage second. We might use other footage though. But yeah, that's the way I do things. So they're changing the daily and weekly mission reset. So yeah, so you can. So basically, so first we're making some changes to how the daily and weekly missions reset. Currently, uncompleted daily and weekly missions sit in the character's logs until the mission is completed. Yeah, you could roll over. Like if you had the weekly complete three flashpoints, it would just roll over again until the next week. So you could complete two one week and then one the other week. Yeah, so 7.0, they'll be removed once the reset time passes. So you can't do your dailies over 2 days. That's annoying. Because sometimes you like to do your dailies and the weeklies over... Well, you do the weekly over 2 days. That's fine, as long as it's not the Tuesday when it resets. As long as you don't do it on the Monday and then finish it on the Tuesday. But sometimes I get bored doing dailies and I think, I'll come back to them tomorrow. So they're going to reset. All the progress on them is going to reset. Not great, to be honest. So the reason for the change is they're restructuring the way they present content each week. Weekly missions will rotate in availability in 7.0. We want to ensure that all players are on the same weekly mission each week. Keep those mission areas from feeling dynamic and filled with other people or group to share mission credit with. Oh, right. They're going to force you to go to Oricon this week. That's what it'll be. Oricon week. Didn't they try this before? Didn't we have Eternity Vault spam? Didn't we get fed up with that? Remember that when they tried a weekly rotation? That was the last time they tried it. Content like heroic missions being completed more quickly and efficiently. How does that work? How are they going to be completed quickly and efficiently? Most people just do them solo anyway. Like, it's mostly a solo game, and now you're trying to make people group up. You can still access the missions that aren't part of the rotation if you choose, or just have reduced rewards. Alright, so go to Oricon for more rewards. Because you need more rewards to go to Oricon, to be honest. Really, and so you're gonna get more auto-completing missions, which is alright, I suppose. The next change they're making is economy adjustments. Yeah, so the game's hyperinflation, which is just out of control. And to be honest, there's not really much that they can really do about this. Because the game's 10 years old. And if you've been playing the game every day, sorry, for the last decade, then you're gonna have a lot of credits, because nearly everything you do in the game rewards credits. Every enemy you kill either drops something that's worth a few hundred credits, or they drop credits themselves. And the problem with this is there's infinite enemies in the game. If you think about it, there's an infinite number of enemies. This is required because you couldn't run out of enemies. The enemies respawn, and they respawn on a timer. So in theory, you could go around and just kill enemies infinitely if you wanted to. And you will make credits for doing that. So the enemies will then drop, those infinite enemies drop an infinite amount of items, in theory. It's not the most efficient way to do things, obviously, but that's what contributes mostly to inflation, because you could print that money out of nothing. Those items, doesn't matter if you have one of those items or you have 100 of those items, you can have 1,000 of those items. It's still worth the same to a vendor, and the vendor will buy that. And the vendor just puts money into the economy, essentially, because that vendor, that the item is then deleted, and then the money comes in. If you think about it, it's not really a vendor, really. It's just a case of turning that item into credits. When a trade is made between players on the GTN, though, that is a trade. That is moving credits around the economy. That is more of a real, how the real world works, essentially, how a real world economy works. But that's why you end up with hyperinflation in the economy. So they're gonna have, so there's more credits being created in the economy than they're being spent, which I've just explained. So that drives the GTN prices upwards all the time on items. Again, yeah, hyperinflation. Yeah, because again, if we're generating more credits, we can spend more credits, and that just generates the hyperinflation. And this is bad for new players, and that's why if you look at things like the costs of items and the costs of repairs go up every expansion, because again, the number of quests available in each expansion does increase. Because again, you get more daily areas, you probably get more quests, increase. Quests are finite though. You know, there's only a certain amount of quests you can complete. The enemies are infinite and the items that they drop are infinite, but quests are finite, and every quest in the game gives you credits as a reward. So you could probably do quite easily 1,000,000 credits a day if you wanted. If you really were that dedicated to doing dailies, you could probably do about 1,000,000 a day, I reckon. Maybe 3 or 4 hours would net you that, because then they had the bugs as well with the heroic quests. Remember that a few years ago, where if you did heroic quests in a group, it multiplied the credits that you gained instead of dividing it. Because whenever you looted an enemy, if there was 4 players in the group, if you looted 100 credits, that would be 25 credits per player. It would just divide it by 4. But instead, it was multiplying it by 4, so you were getting 400 credits per player instead of 25 credits. And that was a massive thing that contributed to credit credit inflation, or hyperinflation as we call it in the economy. So yeah, so they're taking, to reduce the credits, they're going to reduce the number of solid resource matrix items from conquest rewards, and they're going to put them on Java vendors, available for purchase with Java junk. The other thing that doesn't help the economy as well is the cash shop, the cartel market. That really doesn't help, because you can just buy if you want, you know, to make money. The easiest way to make money in the game is to just buy an item from the cash shop, which has an inherent in-game value, but again, it's being generated out of nothing, essentially. Well, real money. You're not spending any in-game resources, because if you craft something, you're spending in-game resources to craft it. If you think about it, if you're crafting a high quality item, you're spending more resources. So again, that does churn through the economy, whereas the cash shop is just generating that money out of nothing. You buy an item that sells for 8,000,000 credits, you know, you've just generated that 8,000,000. You've kind of generated that from nothing. You haven't spent any money to that. I mean, another player has had to go and earn the money to buy that. They also had like GTN, what were they, not GTN, cartel market things that was just a consumable that generated credits. I know they have it in the conquest now, but they did have it in the cartel packs. They had a consumable that would give you a random amount of credits, so that didn't help. Again, that's credits generated from nothing in the game, and that hurts the economy as well. So the biggest thing, I guess, from this is going to be shared tagging as well. Mob tagging, SWTOR's was very out of date. Basically, the first person to hit that mob, tag that mob, and they were the only person that could claim XP, quest credit, and loot that item. And again, unless they were in a group. So it was the first person in the group to tag that enemy did that. So it's kind of an old, it was meant to prevent kill stealing. I think it was introduced, was it EverQuest that introduced it? It was what I know WoW pioneered it. I don't know if it was introduced before WoW. But basically now they're changing it to be the faction, which is the same as World of Warcraft. So it means that, you know, you can group up to kill an enemy without inviting another player to a group, which is good. So they refer to mob ties 7.0 are changing this default behavior tied to the faction instead. So if a player attacking an NPC or another player from the same faction helps kill the NPC, whether grouped or not, both players will share mission credit and loot for the NPC. Take it that'll be experience as well. So in some cases, this will allow credit to be shared with any player regardless of faction. So I guess in the faction neutral areas. First content that will take advantage of open tagging will be the world bosses. This should minimize griefing opportunities. I'd really encourage players to help each other in order to defeat these bosses. Again, this was introduced, I think Guild Wars 2 was one of the first games to go for the open tagging system. If someone's fighting a thing, why not help them? Why not? It kind of, yeah, that's pretty good there. World of Warcraft introduced it in Legion as well, so that's a good thing as well. So I think that is decent, because again, it is this sort of archaic way. You'd have somebody that would go around with a quick, if they had a quick spell or a quick ability, that they could run around and tag all the enemies. Also, if you were getting a group ready for the world boss, this was before level sync came in, someone high level would just run up and kill the world boss while you were waiting for the group. That was a bit poor, you know, it just discourages that griefing. Also, they've updated the rules for tagging enemies to include healers. Dealing damage to an NPC in order to tag it for credit. Healing another player's damage to NPC will also damage credit. That's good. Encourage people to roll healers then. Run about and throw out heals. I remember in WoW I used to run about as a priest, just doing Shadow Word Pain to everything. Every time someone was in combat or something, like Shadow Word Pain, Shadow Word Pain, Shadow Word Pain. It's just a dot. Just run out and hit a dot on everything and you'll get credit for the kill. So what a lot of people did is you just see someone fighting it and you're technically helping them, because, you know, Shadow Word Pain's dealing damage over time. Just because it was an instant cast damage over time ability. Like, that was that was it. That's why I used it. It was good. It was good. You could use it as a healer as well. So that gave you, you know, gave you quick quest turn-ins. There, if there was a lot of people in the area. So I guess they're trying to do that. It would be interesting to have instance clickables as well. Be a bit pointless having open tagging and then everyone fights over the clickable, because you gotta kill the enemies next to the thing and click the thing, like click 5 things. That would be good as well, especially in places like CZ198. I think that would be pretty good there. Again, instead of fighting over the clickables, like you do the thing where you kill the big droid in CZ198 for the weekly quest, that would be pretty good. Again, you're going to have Empire and Republic players there that are going to compete over it, so it's still not going to be, by the looks of things, the open tagging there. So some cases they've said they'll allow any player regardless of factions. It might be the case for that droid, because it is nearer the Empire spawn area than the Republic spawn area, so just maybe they will do that for that. So they're making a combat change to Vanish as well. So Vanish allows players to circumvent intended game mechanics. Yeah, stealth heal. They're taking that out of the game. Especially ones that require a target. Also allows players to revive out of combat. So they're change their ability disciplines in the middle of an encounter. Vanish ability has been redesigned to remove unintended use. And as someone who played a Scoundrel, I gotta say, fuck you, is what I've gotta say. Thanks for making the Scoundrel worse. Like, they ruined the Scoundrel healer by taking away her hots. Now they're taking away her ability to stealth res. Really, just get rid of Why don't they just say, we hate Scoundrels, don't play a Scoundrel? Because what reason is, apart from PvP really, but PvE kind of been fucked over in the last few expansions. So for all Flashpoint operations, Vanish abilities will instantly drop all threat and allow players to enter stealth at max level. However, players no longer exit combat. So it doesn't apply to open world, PvE, PvP, or war zones. Yeah, but PvP it was a bit it was good for sort of dropping out of combat, but if you had dots on you, it wouldn't cleanse dots, so you could always be taken out of it in PvP. Open world, if you were dying, you would just hit it as a oh shit button if you'd pulled too many mobs. Very rarely did you ever die out in the world in SWTOR. Very, very rare. So yeah, it was mostly useful in operations where we could stealth res. Although it was very, very difficult, because if there was AoE damage going out, then you would always get pulled back into combat. And they're also getting weapons in the Outfitter. So beginning, you'll be able to use weapons a similar way to armor, and so they're doing transmog for weapons basically. And the existing Outfitter system, this means you can have one weapon equipped, which will determine the stats, and stamp the appearance of another weapon via the Outfitter. Yeah, it makes sense, you know, might as well have transmog weapons in the game, you know, it works, it should work well. Because the weapon, unless it's like tied to an animation, so I guess you'll have to have the weapon in the slot. So it just means color crystals. If you had like an endurance color crystal, but you like the color, but you wanted the crit color crystal, you can just set that as your color now. I guess they've said that it will determine custom. It says the weapon assigned to the outfitter slot or slots for dual wielding combat styles will determine which of these customization options are seen and heard in the game. A weapon is not assigned to an outfitter slot. The game will use the options currently equipped weapon instead. So yeah, it's a transmog weapons. Makes sense, really. It makes sense for me to add that in the game. They're also introducing legendary items, which are basically just replacing set bonus items. For now, you're going to get an earpiece and implants are going to be legendary. You can equip 2 of them. They've said it will provide you with the set bonus now instead of getting the 6 armor pieces that you needed for your set bonus. Also, set bonuses are being deactivated. That's to be expected. Every expansion, they should really be doing this in every expansion there. So when you hit the next level up, I think it'll be level 76 you'll hit, and then it will take away your 6-piece set bonus. I don't know whether the set bonuses will all be different, I guess, or whether they'll stack between the 2 legendaries that you can equip, but you can also upgrade your legendary, which again makes sense. WoW did this as well. They've said that legendaries are going to be easy to obtain, is what they've said. They haven't said how we obtain them. Are they just drops, or are they just, you know, random when you level up the renown XP rank? If that's what they're calling it in the next expansion. So I don't know how that'll work. But yeah, it's just basically changing over the set bonus. I take it the tacticals are still remaining in place. Maybe they'll introduce new tacticals, or will they disable your tactical? They haven't said that yet, but hopefully that can remain in place, because the tactical kind of changes how you play, and a lot of classes required certain tacticals to play, or play to their potential, really. But it'd be interesting to see if they do introduce new tacticals. They probably will, I would imagine. I'll say maybe they'll introduce an upgrade system for tacticals. Maybe it'll just increase like things like percentages of damage, or because some of them don't. Some of them increase your damage by a percentage. Like you've got the one for the Vanguard that gives you 2 auto crit, 2 essentially auto crit. What was it called? Cell bursts. 2 auto crit cell bursts in a row. Maybe they could increase it. Maybe it's 150% for cell bursts rather than 100% damage increase. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, so maybe they'll do that, or do you get ones that just straight out increase your damage, or you get ones that give you the ability to move and heal at the same time. The Commando had one like that as well. So hopefully, you know, some of them get moved around. Maybe they'll get upgraded. Who knows? But anyway, I have ranted on for nearly 20 minutes now about SWTOR. I haven't been too negative. See, there you go. Been a bit positive. We talked a bit about the economy. Talked a little bit about the fuck you to scoundrels, which is, you know, to be expected at this point because they hate us. But anyway, that is all for this video. So thank you for joining me. We'll see you again soon, and goodbye.